Never have I actually thought Trump was my daddy. And Kamala is not our mommy. Now, I realize Drew Barrymore has an effed up mom who put her into the spotlight at this young age and let her do drugs and drink when she was, I think, in the single digits or like 12 at the oldest. That's a sickness, right? She's platformed these people. She leaned in and woke. Now she wants to get away with on Bill Maher. If you've changed, then own that. Own how you've changed, how you've seen the error of your ways. How you won't be kneeling down to the transgender cult anymore. And I'll listen to you. A lot of people have evolutions. I will listen to you. Right now, I think you're just saying what you think you need to say to be popular with Bill Maher's audience.
Let's talk about this train wreck of an interview. Honestly, I'm not sure whether to laugh, cringe, or pour myself a double whiskey just to get through it. Bill Maher sat down with Drew Barrymore. Yes, the same Drew Barrymore who once literally dropped to her knees in front of Dylan Mulvaney. And let's just say this was not the redemption arc she imagined. Before we even get to what went wrong, we need to step back and look at Drew herself. She isn't just a celebrity. She's Hollywood royalty, a child star raised under the blinding spotlight before she even had a chance to grow up. That spotlight came with chaos. By the time most kids are learning multiplication, she was already entangled with drugs and alcohol. That kind of childhood leaves scars. And decades later, she still seems like she's floating through Hollywood, trying to figure out what people want her to be, untethered, like a balloon lost at a birthday party. So here she is, expected to hold her own with Maher. But here's the problem. If you don't even know who you are, honesty on camera doesn't land. Instead, what we got was a masterclass in Hollywood doublespeak, awkwardness, and hypocrisy. And then came Megyn Kelly. Kelly didn't just critique Barrymore. She shredded her. With precision, she sliced through Drew's carefully polished image and exposed every crack for the audience to see. Brutal? Absolutely. Fair? In some ways, yes. The setup is this. Maher talks free speech. Barrymore sits across, nodding along. Maher points out that under Trump, people could speak their minds, but under Biden, saying the wrong word feels like walking barefoot across a minefield. One slip, one mispronounced word, and your career, friendships, reputation are gone. Love him or hate him, he isn't wrong. We've all seen it. Old tweets destroying careers overnight. People canceled for saying anything the woke crowd didn't approve of. It wasn't paranoia. It was reality.
On Drew Barrymore, this is again on the podcast, and listen to what she said in SOT 28.
You have a lot of bravado about what you think is the truth or not, but it's just so refreshing. Like, you were doing this before it was so dangerous.
Still dangerous.
And it is just way too dangerous now, but you're still doing it.
It's slightly less dangerous than it was 2 years ago because we did have a vibe change, and because the Democrats lost so badly in 2024, the blush is off the rose on left-wing censorship and, oh my God, you can't say that. Stop telling me what I can do, what I can say, what I can think, who my heroes are supposed to be. Just get.
And then Drew Barrymore steps in and completely fumbles the ball. She leans forward, eyes wide, and says, "Oh, it's still too dangerous to speak your real opinions." Really, Drew? Dangerous for who? Exactly? Because let's not forget, this is the same woman who once fell over herself praising Dylan Mulvaney and Kamala Harris as if they were world-changing saints.
He's saying what he's always said, to his credit. He's been very consistent. But there you have Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore talking about how it's still too dangerous to speak out with your real opinions. So what are her real opinions? Because just like Jimmy Kimmel and Sarah Silverman, she's been fueling the fire of wokeism for years. Who could forget how she humiliated herself next to fake, quote unquote, woman, meaning a man, Dylan Mulvaney, who came on her show and was treated like Jesus.
When free speech was being crushed left and right under Democratic control, Where was Drew's outrage then? No way. She wasn't worried about suppression. She was happily guzzling the woke Kool-Aid. Not just drinking it, but bathing in it. That's exactly why Megyn Kelly came down on her so hard. Kelly cut through the fluff with her trademark precision. Drew, if you've changed your mind, then own it. Say it. Admit you regret bowing to the transgender cult. Admit you done fueling the bonfire of woke lunacy. People might actually respect you for it. But Drew didn't do that. Instead, she pulled the classic Hollywood shuffle. On Bill Maher's stage, in front of an audience that's probably the last crowd in the world that wants to hear another round of woke nonsense, she just said whatever sounded good in the moment.
Oh my God, there's so much wrong with that clip. It's stomach turning. She leftists need to learn the number one lesson of being happy in life. Do not lean into your problems. Don't lean into crazy. Everyone's had crazy in their lives. The successful, sane ones do not obsess over it, do not want to relive it over and over, do not want to talk about it night and day on their show, do not talk about things like the ground feels safe to me, and they certainly do not literally bend the knee to the cult of transgenderism, Drew, and then talk about how, gee, it feels so dangerous. It's so dangerous, still too dangerous to say how you really feel. About what? What is it? Do you have a reversal on that?
And this is where it actually gets interesting. Megyn Kelly raises a point worth considering. Maybe Drew Barrymore has changed. Maybe she's finally skeptical of the woke talking points she's been parroting for years. But here's the problem. The woke mob doesn't forgive. Step even slightly off script, and you're done. Fired. Dragged. Cancelled. Not politics as usual, where people argue and move on. No. In woke culture, one slip means career over. So maybe Drew does see the cracks in the ideology. Maybe she regrets dropping to her knees for Dylan Mulvaney on national television. But instead of owning it, she hides behind vague, safe rhetoric. And that's the disease right there. Knowing the truth, but being too afraid to say it, that makes you complicit. And Drew Barrymore is absolutely complicit. She boosted Kamala Harris. She literally called her Mamala. Seriously, that's as cringe as it gets.
A risk. You're in a safe space with Bill. Maybe he should have gotten her out down on the floor and she would have said how she really felt. You continuously vote for the party and the people who push that bullshit on us. You, madam, are complicit. You hosted Kamala Harris, who says, we all need to be woke. We need to be woke because we just do. That's your person who you actually had on your program and wanted us to call Mama La.
Politicians aren't our parents, and they shouldn't be. It's embarrassing watching people treat Kamala like mommy or Trump like daddy. Politicians aren't babysitters. They are supposed to lead, protect freedoms, create opportunity, and keep the nation strong. We don't need parents in Washington. We need leaders. But that's not how Drew sees it. She feeds into the fantasy. And why? Because at her core, she's still the Hollywood child star, trained from the start to say whatever earns applause. It isn't authenticity. It's survival. And honestly, that's the saddest part of all.
When we lift each other up, we all rise with the mouth quivering, just like the hideous to Dylan. Where do you find the strength to keep being the joy? Where do you find the strength to keep being the joy? Oh my God, she's too far gone. This is what happens when you become a Hollywood actress as a child. You lose your id. You don't know who you are. You're just floating. You're like the Martian, the astronaut disconnected from the spaceship. You're just adrift in space, untethered. You don't know who you are. Where do you find the strength to keep being the...
Where do you get the energy to keep spreading happiness? She asks. And at that point, I had to stop and think. She's gone too far. This is what happens when you grow up as a Hollywood actress. You lose your identity. You don't even know who you are anymore. You're just drifting, like an astronaut cut loose from the spaceship, floating aimlessly through space with nothing to hold on to. That's Drew Barrymore. Lost, drifting, searching. And let's not forget, this is the same Drew Barrymore who literally knelt before Dylan Mulvaney on live television. She bowed, not just to a person, but to the entire woke ideology. And now she wants to act like it's dangerous to voice your real opinions. Dangerous for whom? Drew? Because you sure weren't concerned when conservatives were being silenced, banned, and cancelled. Back then, when careers were destroyed overnight, you were happily cheering it on. You supported the cause. The only reason you're suddenly nervous now is because the tide has shifted. Americans are fed up. People are mocking, resisting, and rejecting the woke narrative. And Drew feels it. Here's the irony. Today, speaking the truth isn't dangerous. What's dangerous now is clinging to the woke script while the rest of the country finally wakes up.
Not joyful. Okay, he's a sick person, Dylan Mulvaney. He, I believe, may have had his chopped off. He's taking massive amounts of hormones. He's pretending that he is something other than what he is. And I believe, and many others believe too, because he really wants to be famous. He's been wanting to be famous for many, many years. He wasn't able to make it as a man, or a gay man, or a non-binary man, and now has gone full Eloise. And that's something that you think is brave, and you celebrated it openly on your show and told others that they...
And let's take a moment to be fair. Drew Barrymore's upbringing wasn't particularly steady. Before she ever reached adolescence, Hollywood ate her up and spit her out. That causes wounds. You become confused about your identity as a result. Seeking permission and the next script to follow are constant pursuits. It is also evident in her interviews. She is not grounded. She's afloat. She's constantly looking for the thin line that will win over everyone. Here's the problem, though. You can't please anyone when you live that way. Megyn Kelly did a fantastic job on that. In essence, she added, be yourself in front of everyone. Own it if you've changed. Stop acting as though you have if you haven't. For now, Drew simply says what she believes the audience wants to hear. And that's what inauthenticity means, my friends. Furthermore, the hypocrisy is harmful in addition to being obnoxious. Since Drew Barrymore has a following, millions of people hear her. She is not just confusing, but she is also supporting the very culture that silences people when she promotes awakened gibberish one day and then attempts to use the argument that free speech is bad the next. She contributes to the issue.